This right here ain't no comic book. This right here is some bullshit.
Now available in paperback and ebook, The Man Who Rules the World. John Hayes must bring together men and gods to overcome a threat that seeks to destroy the planet. The Man Who Rules the World. Now available in paperback and e-readers everywhere.
I got a chance to take a look at Hardware Season 1, Number 3. And I've never gotten as angry at a comic book than I did at this one. If I actually had a physical copy of Hardware Season 1, Number 3, I would probably do what your Diversity in Comics and Yellow Flash do to many, what they call social justice comics, and I would have ripped it up on camera. And I would have felt justified in ripping up this comic because this comic, in its attempt to show how woke it is, shows how racist it truly is. And I was absolutely disgusted by what was presented in this issue, and I couldn't believe that a black writer thought that this was a good story to publish, and I could not believe that a black editor thought that this was a good story to publish, because if somebody brought this same story to me at SJS Direct, I would have balled that story up, thrown it in the trash, and then lost this person's email, because everything here basically takes us all the way back to slavery, and we see two white men basically fighting over Kurt Metcalf like he is some sort of prized buck black man. That is the thing that really irritated me about this third issue, was how it basically shows us how white supremacist these writers are in their narratives, and how they are just, they don't even see the racism they're presenting right in front of us. Now, this first issue starts out with your Kurt Metcalf as a child with all of this awe and wonder as related to the power of Edwin Alva, the white man, and his partner Asher Sim. And as he's seeing this argument between Edwin Alva and Asher Sim, he sees Edwin Alva then a couple of years later set up Asher Sim and then set him up to be arrested. Now, that right there is more of Milestone pushing more of the evil white man narratives, and I'm really, again, getting real tired of these evil white man narratives, because in 1993, while your Kurt Metcalf had his issues with Edwin Alva, he had managed to go out here and start not only building the hardware suit, but he had already taken on multiple bad guys. In this one, in 3 issues, all we see is your Curtis Metcalf continuing to talk about the evil white man, and more actions that show us how reprehensible the evil white man is. And as we go to the second page, we see your evil white man getting the white man arrested, his business partner, and then Curtis Metcalf's black female friend working there being arrested and in jail. And then we have your Baraki getting her out of jail, and then we start to find out that your Edwin Alva is now looking for your Kurt Metcalf, who is now a passport bro and on a plane headed overseas. Unfortunately, he's not looking for foreign women. No, he's looking for an ally to be able to help him, be able to get out from under the jam that Edwin Alva set up for him by making him a brother on the run, framing him for the Big Bang. Now, this is a plot point that's related to this new Milestone universe that really aggravates me, and it aggravates me because it's absolutely unnecessary, and it's only there because probably Reginald Hudlin wants to go out here and make CW TV shows, and because he does not really know how to work the Kurt Metcalf and Hardware character to make them interesting. What he does is he just goes out here and makes Kurt Metcalf a brother on the run, and this whole brother on the run narrative, it just falls completely apart in this issue, and the whole narrative about who will be the better man falls completely apart, because in this issue we see that Kurt Metcalf is not a man who can go out here and stand on his own 2 feet as a man, the way the original Kurt Metcalf did when he took on Edwin Alva by using his own resources against him. No, we see this Kurt Metcalf is nothing more than a coward who runs over from the one evil white man over to the other evil white man in Singapore. So that really just shows how weak your Kurt Metcalf is this time around, and how they've basically turned your Kurt Metcalf into a gooey, soft, cream-filled beta male, because only a gooey, soft, cream-filled beta male go to others to help him fight his battles, instead of going out here and fighting a man face to face. So we see your Kurt Metcalf turned into a boy as he goes to Asher Sims' facility, takes on a couple of robots, and then explains his situation to Asher Sim, who has been paralyzed. So what we see here is him going from one white man to another white man, and this is what really disgusted me about this issue. Instead of him, again, being a strong black man, we have a weak black man going from one white man to another white man. And basically, he shows us that in spite of his superpowered armor, he's nothing more than a superpowered butler, and nothing more than a prized buck and a prized slave that these 2 white men are fighting over. And that's what really disgusted me about this issue, because Asher Sim calls up your Edwin Alva, and in the last couple of pages talk about how they're going to negotiate over hardware, basically making him look like their boy. I mean, I haven't seen paternalism like this since Different Strokes in the 80s, and you have your Milestone talking about they want to make strong black heroes, but I don't see anything strong about hardware at this point, because we go from the first issue and the final pages of that first issue, where he talked about who's going to prove that they are the better man, to this boy going all the way down and being the slave at the end of the book. So that's what we have here, because he's sitting there talking about, oh, we'll see who made who, but all I see is a codependent guy out here who is extremely weak, and that's embarrassing to see your hardware brought down to the point where he's no longer a man, but he's nothing more than a prize buck slave, basically, and they're fighting over who's going to get the buck slave so that they can breed his technology and be able to profit off his labor. That's what's really insulting to me about this book. And this is this storyline right here. It just makes me so angry, because, again, this is a black writer writing this and a black publisher publishing this, and not seeing how racist it actually is. Here you have a black hero, and instead of him being a hero, he has been brought down to the level of a pawn, and that is something that no comic fan should want to sit down and read, seeing a hero going down here and not looking to go out here and solve his own problems. They have basically turned Kurt Metcalf into a complete bitch, and have him, again, going from one white zaddy to another white zaddy, and that is not something that is in character. That is cowardice, that is not courage, and it does not teach young children or people who read comics that a hero can go out here and fight their own battles like a man. No, this isn't, again, it just is disrespectful on every level as I see it, and this third issue is just complete and absolute trash. And if of all the books that are out here, I would never buy another Milestone comic. I mean, this is one right here. It just absolutely disgusts me. I mean, this one, it's absolutely, it's the whole thing, the whole story. I mean, basically, you have taken your Kurt Metcalf and turned him into Arnold Jackson of Different Strokes, and you have stripped him of all his manhood and masculinity. You have stripped him of all of his strength of character, and you've turned him into basically another slave. And it just makes me so angry to even just even talk about this comic, because this is not about, again, a hero going out here and fighting for what's his. This is brother not only turned into brother on the run, this is a black man turned into a slave, and you've got two slave masters fighting over this slave, or you've basically got one slave master telling another slave master, here is your prize slave, and I'm going to go give you your prize slave. I mean, this is sad. This is a 2021 comic that we have this kind of content in. And what's sad is, again, you've got black people pushing this kind of racism and then saying, oh, it's all about promoting diversity. Well, all I see is the same old white supremacy repackaged in a black package and promoting the same white supremacist messages without any sort of message of empowerment to the young brothers and sisters, because that's all that's being promoted here. And your passport bro is nothing more than a passport hoe at this point. And this book, again, is absolute garbage. And at this point, Milestone should have never returned, because if it was going to return like this, then it should have just stayed in the grave that it was in 1997, than to be brought back and turned into hot garbage like this. My whole thing on this hardware number 3 is it gets one big middle finger from me, because that's what's being expressed to me in this third issue, which just shows how out of touch Reginald Hudlin and the people at Milestone are as related to writing and crafting black characters. If you want to get good black characters, head over to Concrete Comics and pick up Absolver, pick up Acolyte, pick up Odina. Those are strong, positive black characters. And if you want to pick up some books that are coming out, like my upcoming John Haynes at Death's Door, that book features a strong, positive black man. And we need more strong, positive black men in comics and black women in comics to counteract trash like this, because this kind of comic just shows us what a compromised, self-hating mind can produce. And this comic just shows us the worst as related to writing overall, and it's just absolutely hot garbage. If anything that drives me further to get this John Haynes at Death's Door comic out, it is this book, because we need content to counteract trash like this, and we need good writers to go out here and write great stories to show us black people being heroes, black people taking power, and black people not buck dancing and bojangling for the white man that they call the evil white man, but are actually in a codependent relationship with, like your Kurt Metcalf is. Because this is not a black man who's out here to try to get his due like Kurt Metcalf in '93 is. This is basically a black slave who wants to just go out here and get the love of white zaddy. So I really am absolutely disgusted by this comic. And if I had the physical copy, I would be putting this in a paper shredder, because that's all this book is good for, is basically confetti that should be sent back to the Milestone offices and sent back to them, and as the garbage it actually is. Now, my upcoming comic, John Haynes at Death's Door, will be coming out soon. The artist Antonio Balderi has finished the 23rd page, and we're getting close to the finish line. I'm hoping to having that out soon next year. So I'm hoping everybody puts in a pledge for that comic, because we need more positive, strong black male characters out there. And I'm hoping to get that book out to you soon. But in the meantime, until I can get the Death's Door comic to the marketplace, I'm asking everybody to pick up the books of the John Haynes series, and like The Temptation of John Haynes, The Man Who Rules the World, John Haynes, A Conversation with Death, John Haynes, Dark Succubus, John Haynes, The Man with Nothing to Lose, and John Haynes, Taking Care of Business. All of those books are on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them on Smashwords, the iBookstore, and Google Play. And if you want to see me make more comic videos and make more comics, you can donate to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.
Now available in paperback and e-readers. Isis, Bride of Dracula. God is Next Door and John Haynes team up to take on the Dark Vampire in this action-packed ISIS series adventure. Get ISIS, Bride of Dracula in paperback and e-reader